YouTube. Same Bob here of Same Bob's YouTube channel. Welcome back to another tutorial for Life is Feudal. This tutorial is going to focus on mining. It's going to show you guys how to start your very first tunnels, your first mining tunnels, so that you can gather rocks, you can shape them, and you can also gather your ores such as your silver, iron and copper. We'll focus on copper on this particular tutorial, but the process of finding them is exactly the same from ore to ore. So I've kind of fiddled around with the stats, trying to work out what the best possible character is in order to create an optimal mining character. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through character creation so that you can have a dedicated miner that will kind of go into prospecting, go into smelting, armor smithing and forging, that kind of line of skills. So without further ado, let's get into the attributes. So what you want to do is, you know that you need to focus on strength. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to max out strength to 27, well, as far as it'll go, this is 27, but there are other attributes that you definitely need in order to complement each stat. So what we're going to do is we're going to also increase constitution. Okay, and we'll bring that out at 2019. Now what you can do is, if you decide that you don't want to put points into terraforming, because if you've looked at the terraforming skill, you need a skill level of 60 in order to start digging tunnels. Only when you are level 60 or skill level 60 in terraforming can you actually create tunnels. So if you don't want to take tunneling in the crafting skills, if you don't want to max terraforming out, for example, then you are going to want to put points into constitution. But for this tutorial we are going to max terraforming, so we will be able to do a tunnel straight away. Constitution is good for terraforming. That is a primary stat for terraforming, which we don't need, because as soon as we enter the game we'll go into lock off terraforming, because level 90 and a level 100 in terraforming doesn't exist at the moment. It's not implemented, so there's no reason to go any higher than 60 at this point in time. But what we are going to do is we're going to put in strength and intelligence. Okay, so intelligence is a primary and secondary stat for prospecting and smelting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put strength at 20, intelligence at, let's just see, at 19, and strength at 20. Okay, that's a good basis for a character that's going to go through the mining, smelting and armor smithing route. Okay, so crafting skills, we want to go into terraforming. I want to max it out at 60. Combat skills doesn't really make a difference, at this point, because this is just for a miner. This doesn't affect anything else at all. So I'm just going to pop that up to max, and I think let's have a look. Let's see, what does it give us? There we are. That'll be fine. Okay, so once we're done, we're going to click done, and that is pretty much, as far as I can tell, the best kind of way of creating a mining character. So I'm going to enter the server now, and I'll see you guys when we're in there. Alrighty then guys, so I've spawned into the game a little further north than where I am currently, and what I've done is I've run to an area where I've already mined and found some ore, but that's just basically just to show you guys what it looks like and what you kind of yield from mining it. What I am going to do though, before we actually take a look at that, is show you guys how to go about digging your first tunnels, and then also prospecting and trying to find some copper ore. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we are going to need to create ourselves some basic tools. The tools that you're going to need are, you're going to need a shovel, you're going to need a pickaxe, and you're going to need 2 branches for that, 2 flint and 4 plant fibre in order for you to be able to craft those. So that's what we're going to do first of all, is we're going to craft those, but I'm not going to let you guys watch me do all of that. I'll fast forward this time and make this go a little bit quick, since if you want to know how to make the tools, you can look at my last video, and I'll put a link up on the screen for that, and that'll show you guys how to go about making your primitive tools. Alright then guys, let me go ahead and put myself some clothes on, because I look a bit exposed here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create ourselves the primitive tools that we need. And let's take a look here. We're going to need a shovel. So just take a while. It's quite repetitive and quite tedious, some of the crafting that it does take, as long as it does. But I suppose there has to be a drawback somewhere. Let's make a pickaxe. There we go. There we are. Okay, so now that we've got our shovel and our pickaxe, we should be able to do pretty much everything we need to do for this tutorial. What I'm going to do is I'm going to equip this, open my character ragdoll sheet, and then we want to put the primitive pickaxe on as well. Pop it over there. Okay, and that's everything we need in order to get started. Now, what I'm going to recommend is that we quickly, we should have done this before we'd even thought about finding any materials, is we should have turned all these to off. So I'm going to actually put these on a decrease, because we've kind of accumulated stuff that, that's locked because we don't need that. That's locked. That's locked. Anything that has 0 in, we just want to lock them. Anything that we don't need, for example, nature's law, we'd like that to go down to 0, and also forestry, we'd like that to go down as low as possible. And we also want logging to go down as want that to be locked. The reason for that is because you only have a certain amount of points to go towards skills, and once you reach that cap, you can no longer learn anything else. And if you're going to go to level 100 in all of these, you're going to need 600 points in order to fulfill the entirety of this line, which is armor smithing, forging, smelting, and mining, and prospecting. So guys, make sure that you do lock everything that you don't need, and decrease everything that, again, you're not going to be using, just to free up your points. Also, what you want to do is you want to go into your character sheet here, and you want to strength, we obviously need. Agility, we do need in terms of, I believe, smelting and forging, that uses agility. Constitution, we need. Willpower is the only one we don't need. And again, the same kind of thing with the skill points. The stat points, you can only have a maximum of 150 totally. Okay, so that basically means that you're going to have, I believe, 30, maximum of 30 each in each stat. However, if you lower, say, willpower, and you can gain an extra certain amount of points in each of those, then you can kind of judge which one is best to lower and to increase. So for now, let's turn that off because we don't need it, and we'll actually get it to lower. I haven't actually seen any decay in any of the skills or the stats as of yet, so I don't know how long that takes or what's needed to make them decay, but we'll see. Alright, so what we want to do now is we've got our tools. We will need to prospect for some copper. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into prospecting, ignore the default at the moment, and you're going to prospect for some copper. And what you're going to do is you're going to, this is what we do as just to start, okay, so forget the fact that I already know that there's copper in this mountainside here. What you're going to do is you're going to prospect at 28 radius, just to see if you've got some in the close vicinity of 28 tiles. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, and it's going to give us, it should give us a message. You have detected traces of ore. Okay, so, and you'll also notice that prospecting is increased in the chat window there, in the system window, intellect has increased, and strength has increased. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to prospect again, but we're going to lower it. Remember, the maximum, I think, because we've increased our prospecting a little bit, it does increase the radius in which you can search for things. So I think it was 28. What we'll do is we'll go down to 20, okay, and we'll just see if there's still ore within a 20 tile radius. So let's take a look. Okay, and it's increased prospecting, intellect and strength again, and it's now saying that you have detected traces of ore again. So what you'll notice is now that I've increased it to 33 in prospecting, you'll notice that I can now prospect for iron, which we're not going to do, but that's what happens when you increase your prospecting skill, is you'll start being able to prospect for higher level or higher kind of ores. Okay, so now we did 20 last time. Let's do 14. Okay, so basically what you're trying to do with prospecting is limit the radius of which, or at least find the ores and limit the amount of mining space between you and that said ore. So all you're doing is you're just reducing the radius each time and figuring out how many tiles away it is from your current position. Okay, so that was 14, and there were still finding traces of ore. So we're going to go to, we'll make that a default, prospect for copper. So let's do it as 8. Okay, let's have a look. It should keep on telling me until it's pretty close, but just for the sake of the tutorial, this is how I'm showing you how you go about doing it. Again, you have detected traces of ore, prospect copper. We did 8, so let's just put that down to 2, and let's just see if there's anything within a 2 tile radius around us. Okay, now I'm not sure if it will pick it up. Let's have a look, because I know it's maybe 3 or 4. There we go. You didn't find any signs of ore. Okay, so we know that it's between 8 and 2 tiles so far. So let's prospect for copper again, and let's increase to 4. There we are. There we go. We have detected traces of ore. Now that is the lowest in which we can prospect, other than 2, and we know that 2 tiles away there aren't any ore, but we know that between 2 and 4, so either 3 or 4 tiles away from us, is ore. Now obviously we don't know which direction that is, and at this point there isn't any way of being able to tell in which direction it is, really, apart from going in a different direction, say coming over here and prospecting here, and just trying to figure out, is it in a radius around the direction you're facing, for example. So is the ore 3 or 4 tiles in this direction? Okay, and the way you would know that is by doing it here, prospecting in 2 or 3 locations around where you're trying to figure it out. So I know that there's ore around about here. Okay, now if I wanted to pinpoint that, I would do my prospecting here, I would come right over here, and I would prospect over here. Okay, and then it would still tell me, and I would go round and round and round until I could say, actually, yes, there is ore in this direction. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start digging our first tunnel, and in order to do that you're going to want to go into your terraforming, you're going to want to go dig a tunnel and make that your default as well, and then you're just going to press E or just click on the default, and you're going to start in mining out a tunnel. Now what you're going to do is you're going to open up your inventory, okay, and we're just going to keep on going. Very repetitive, okay, it's extremely long skill this in order to get through and create your tunnel. Okay, now at the moment what you can do, once you actually break through this soil and get into the rocks and actually destroy your first square tile, is you'll be able to probe the tile in which you're digging or you're tunneling into. and what that will do is it will give you some information on how much resource is left in that tile before you actually break it completely, and that's giving us a percentage. So once we break through this tile, I'll show you what that is, but I'll quickly show you how we go about making our first tunnel. What you will find at the moment is all that we are receiving from doing this is fertile soil. Eventually, once we get into, because this is a, let's just call this the top layer, okay, of mining. Once you get through the fertile soil, you will then start to hit rock and fertile soil at the same time. So you'll start to get both resources, and then as you get through more of the rock and the fertile soil, all you will start to receive is rock. And you won't receive any more soil at all. And when you start to receive just rock, you know you're pretty close to breaking your first tile. Now it's going to take quite a while, so what I'll do is I'll explain what you need to do with the resources that you receive, and then I'll skip forward in time so that you can see me actually breaking the first tile and showing you how to probe another tile in order to find out how long it's going to take for you to break it. So what do you do with the resources that you've gathered or accumulated by mining or terraforming in this way, digging tunnels? Well, there's not much you can do. You right click on it and it doesn't give you an option to drop it into a bag or anything. All that you can do, okay, is pour it onto the ground. So what you want to do is you want to make sure, right click on the tile here, and you can see the tile that you're in. Okay, you want to make sure that you're not in that tile when you drop this. Okay, so let's just right click and drop it. Okay, now it is quite repetitive again, it's not going to drop the full amount, so you'll have to do it, and I think it drops 30 each time, so you'll just have to keep going until you've emptied the full contents of your inventory, because all you can carry is around about 2 to 250 stone weight, which is what the weights are measured in this game. It is stones. There we go, so we're fully empty, and it's this one that we're in, so obviously don't forget which tunnel, which tile you're digging into. And what we're going to do is we are just going to there we go, we're getting an error. You can't terraform that part of terrain, it is too far. Try it with the neighbouring cells. Dig tunnel, so I think you need to go a bit further down. There we go. I don't think you can be in the tile that you are digging into. Same as when you're creating a structure, you can't be in the green area of that structure when you're trying to build it, which I suppose kind of makes sense. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig into this side of the mountain here, and when I've finally starting to get rock and everything else, I'll bring you guys up to speed and let you see that and see the process of doing that. Alright then guys, so just as I'd finished recording that little section there, about another 2 or 4 more swings of my pickaxe, and it just suddenly created this cutaway in the mountain. So the theory of going through the layers of the tile is kind of wrong, I guess, but this took maybe 2 1.5 refills of my inventory. So let me just get rid of what is in my inventory right now, and I'll show you guys how to go about finding out how much is left in a particular tile, and the materials that you receive. There we go. So let's head over into our little newly cut area here, and what we're going to do is right click on this tile right in front of us, okay, and we're going to prospect, and we're going to click probing. Now what probing is going to do is it's going to probe the tile in front of us for any useful information, and what it should tell us is how much of that resource is left. There we go. So as you can see in the chat window there, total amount of material left in that block is 100%. Your prospecting has increased, intellect has increased, and strength has increased. So there we go. So what we're going to do is we can dig a tunnel, or we can dig a tunnel downwards. I'm not 100% sure how this works. I believe what it does is it just cuts this block in half and lowers it down. But let's just take a look. What we'll do is we will dig a tunnel directly in front of us, and you'll see what materials we get. There we go. So what I would suggest is every time you break a block, you want to search for your copper. You want to search for it, and you want to keep making sure that you're on the right track, that it's in this direction. Otherwise you might have to go back a couple of blocks and go in a different direction if you haven't fully worked out where it is. So what we're going to do now is, obviously we can tell that that's kind of how you start digging your tunnels. So what I am going to do is I'm going to show you what copper looks like and how you go about mining that, and what to do with the materials. So let me just make sure we can actually get rid of that just before we... There we go, let me just get rid of this. Now, the game doesn't actually give you a way to store any of the copper or ore that you receive. So the only way you can store it is by doing exactly what we've done here on this server, is just by dumping it on the ground. It doesn't disappear as far as I can tell. It just stays here, and you can just pick it up, and that's pretty much it. So what we're going to do is going to enter this tunnel that's already been mined out by the other guys on the server, and as you can tell, that's what rock looks like, and that's what copper looks like. Okay, so it's got like a goldy coppery tint to it, and what you can do is you can right click on that and you can prospect it. Let's probe. So let's see how much is left inside this first tile here. There's 86% left in this block. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to mining on our right click menu. We'll make that a default by clicking right click on top of there, and then we're just going to mine. Okay. And what you'll notice is in your energy bar at the bottom left is that it's actually going down as you mine. So you will find that you will need to rest and then start again. And the process is exactly the same for the amount that you can carry. It's still around about 200, 250 with no other weight inside your inventory. There we go. And again, you can't store it anywhere. You won't let you gather any more of the copper ore until you've got rid of it out of your inventory. So what we're going to do again is we're going to just pour it onto the ground here. Okay. One recommendation that I would make is that if, for example, you don't take terraforming as your crafting skill when creating your character, and instead you want to put your constitution up instead of and actually raise your terraforming by in-game methods, then what I would suggest is flattening an area around your mine shaft, okay, and actually putting your furnaces and your forge and anvil, anything that you need to create or to smelt or forge around your mine shaft or somewhere very close by, so that you can dump everything here, and then you don't have to run or walk very far in order to get to your machines. So that's just a little recommendation there. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the way to go about terraforming and prospecting for ores. It's exactly the same way for iron and silver and any other materials. And it's a little bit tedious. It does take a very long time to cut through any stone or any block for that matter. So for example, it was 87%, I believe, for this block in front of us. Let me just double check that. 86% it was. Okay, and it's now at 69%. So it is going to take a while. It's going to take you at least maybe 4, 5, 6 full inventories to be able to clear one block of copper. What I would suggest is if you've got a friend that's mining as well, you should do it together. You'll find that you're going to go through the blocks much quicker if there's a few of you. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learnt how to terraform and I've not droned on too much. If you like the video, then a like and a share would be very much appreciated. And if you subscribe, there will be a lot more videos coming out, tutorials for pretty much every single skill that is in Life is Feudal, and I hope to see you in the next video. So guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.